Club Candy. Chapter 9. The Candy Lady. An idea, once it takes root in fertile ground, does not ask for permission to grow. It simply spreads, its seeds carried on the wind, in the stories of travelers, in the shared longings of a people. The story of the Candy Lady of the Techwood Homes project was such an idea. It was a story too good, too hopeful, to be contained by a single neighborhood. It traveled first in women's mouths. It was a piece of news exchanged over a shared clothesline, a story told on a crowded bus, a whispered revelation during a church service. A woman from Techwood, visiting her sister in the University Homes project on the west side, would speak of it. "You should see it, girl," she'd say, her voice a mixture of awe and local pride. "A woman over there, named Eleanor Reynolds, sells candy right out her front door, a penny apiece. The children line up for a block." And the sister, her own life a mirror of the same struggles, the same heat, the same wanting in her own children's eyes, would listen. The seed would be planted. She would think of the Kool-Aid in her own cupboard, of the icebox, of the pennies her own husband brought home. And she would think, why not me? It also traveled with men, in the shared misery of the hiring pens at the docks, in the brief camaraderie of a shared cigarette during a break. A man from Techwood might mention it. "My boy, he's happy as a pig in slop," he'd say. "The Candy Lady. She got in some of them fancy chocolate bars. He thinks he's a king." And another man from another project across town would overhear, and the idea would lodge in his mind, a small, curious detail to be carried home to his wife. "Heard the strangest thing today," he'd begin. It was a quiet, organic migration of an idea, a grassroots franchise built on need and ingenuity. In the Carver homes, a woman named Martha, whose husband had lost 2 fingers in a factory accident, began selling now and laters and penny bubblegum from her kitchen window. In the Grady homes, a grandmother who went by the name of Mama Rose started making her own frozen cups, but with a splash of pineapple juice, a small, signature twist that made them her own. Each new Candy Lady was a variation on a theme, a unique expression of the same fundamental impulse. They were not a chain, not an organization. They were a sisterhood, an informal guild of entrepreneurs bound by a shared circumstance and a shared solution. They were the women who knew how to stretch a dollar until it screamed, who could make a meal from scraps, who could create a world of comfort and joy within the 4 walls of a government-issued apartment. And in this way, the legend of the first Candy Lady, Eleanor Reynolds, began to grow beyond her own life. She became a folklore figure, a name without a face, a symbol of a new kind of hope. Her story was no longer her own. It belonged to the community. It demonstrated the power of a simple idea, a demonstration of the alchemy of turning nothing into something. Eleanor herself was largely unaware of the legend she had become. Her world was the world of her own front porch, of the children who lined up each afternoon, of the growing treasure in the tin box under her bed. But sometimes, she would catch a glimpse of the ripple she had created. A cousin visiting from out of town would say, "We got a Candy Lady in our project now, too. The kids love her." And Eleanor would feel a quiet, profound sense of connection, a feeling of being part of a current that was larger and more powerful than she had ever imagined. She had not set out to start a movement. She had only wanted to give her children a taste of sweetness. But in doing so, she had tapped into a deep, underground river of resilience, of creativity, of the indomitable spirit of a people who had always known how to make a way out of no way. The idea was spreading, not because it was being pushed, but because it was being pulled, drawn into the vacuums of need and want that existed in every Black neighborhood in the city, and, she was slowly beginning to realize, in the country. The seeds were taking root, and 100 small gardens of sweetness were beginning to bloom in the most unlikely of places. Next episode, Chapter 10, I Got Robbed.